Well, last fall is now firmly in the rearview mirror, and we're looking ahead to a new season. A new year is upon us. But before we totally turn that page and dive headfirst into our plans for this upcoming fall, I think it pays to pause and just reflect for a moment on last season. How did it go for you? How did it go for me? Ask yourself that question, and did it live up to your standards, your expectations? Was it everything you were hoping for? There's a lot of guys out there that had great success last fall, and congratulations to you if you did. But for a lot of us, a lot of folks out there, it didn't go as planned. It did not meet expectations. And I know on seasons where that's happened to me, that leaves a bad taste in my mouth, and it never really sits well with me the whole rest of the off season, and it can really bug me. So that's what we're going to talk about today in this video is number one, how did your season go? We're going to reflect on that a little bit, but more importantly, how do we know if we were hunting the right spots and if we were doing everything we could have been in order to put that big buck in front of us, in order to maximize our time in the woods. And a lot of us have limited time, so we need to really maximize those hours, those days we get to sit in a tree. So first off, the most telling way to know that if you were in the right spots this past fall, if your tree stands were in the proper locations, if you were hunting the proper terrain in locations, and that goes for both public land and private land, the number one tell is, were you getting good bucks on camera in daylight at your locations? And I want you to really stop and think about that. Now, big bucks, mature bucks, and shooter bucks at night is a good sign, but at some point that should have flipped to daylight, or you should have gotten a couple of photos of that good buck during the daytime. Now, obviously, I run cameras quite a bit. I probably have, in any given season, about a dozen out, maybe up to 15 some years with some of my older cameras. But they really are important for me as far as reflecting back on my past season. A lot of you guys probably recall a video I recorded and uploaded this past fall where I was talking about hunting alder swamp edges. And you know that if I have that low glow or any kind of LED flash on my cameras, I actually move them away from my bow stands or rifle hunting stands just a little bit. Because of that red glow, I think mature bucks are seeing those, especially on public land. But nonetheless, I'm still gathering inventory at my locations of those big bucks, and I know whether or not my stand is in the proper rut funnel, bottleneck, hourglass, that type of thing. Over the years, as I've studied my trail camera photos and reflected upon even a year like this where I shot a good buck, it's in those instances when I've made my harvest, when I've had a successful season, it's in those seasons where I was also getting daylight shooter bucks on camera. And that's really telling you a lot, and I'm not talking about the spike bucks and the little bucks. We tend to get those all throughout the fall. I'm talking about those good bucks, whatever that is in your area. Here in the upper Midwest, in the big woods country, we're blessed to be able to go after 4-year-old bucks and older on a regular basis. 3-year-old bucks as well. I know that's not the case everywhere in the country, but whatever they are in your area, if you are getting that buck in daylight, then that is communicating back to you that that was an area that mature buck, that good buck, felt comfortable moving around in daytime. And that's no small thing. A lot of people will say, well, this buck just has a nocturnal personality, or that buck just had a daylight personality. And I don't really buy into that. The longer I'm at this and the more years that go by and experience that I gain, I don't think that's actually the case. I would concede that I'm sure some bucks are more prone to having this type of personality or that type. I would concede a little bit of that. But when it comes to nocturnal versus daylight, to me, that is far more indicative of where a buck just simply felt comfortable. If he was not comfortable moving out on that big cut cornfield out by the highway in the daylight, you're not going to get pictures of him there. It doesn't matter if that buck was it's not because that buck was a quote unquote nocturnal buck that he didn't go out to that cut cornfield where there's box blinds and houses nearby and all kinds of human activity. It's not just because he's nocturnal, it's because he didn't feel comfortable. And there are a whole host of examples I could point to But anyways, that's my opinion on the matter, whether a buck is nocturnal or not. I don't think it has as much to do with personality. I think it has a lot more to do with an area that buck felt comfortable in or not. And so tying this back to your trail camera photos, if you were getting those daylight photos of the buck, and let's be honest here, you guys, even a good hunting spot, you might only get that shooter buck that daylighted 2 times the whole fall, or once or twice in daylight. Maybe you had them several times in the middle of the night chasing a doe, hitting a mock scrape, something like that. Even in my best areas, the areas where I'm getting most of my kills done, it's not like I'll get some giant shooter buck on camera 4 out of 5 weekdays. I don't think that's ever happened to me once on any given camera. So I just wanted to give you guys a sense for when I'm saying daylight photos, I don't mean every day or most days. I mean a couple times throughout the fall. And then you're also getting that nighttime footage or pictures to bolster that, to show that he was using that area during the fall. And that's another thing I should point to here is, if I'm getting a big shooter buck on camera in the middle of the night in late October, that really excites me. I don't write a spot off just because he's quote unquote nocturnal in late October, mid October. I know based on the areas that I hunt, because I'm doing the things that I talked to you guys about in my videos, using bears to access to hunters. I'm getting back in those areas where bucks feel comfortable daylighting in the first place. I know that if I'm getting him on camera in the middle of the night in mid-October or late October, I know he will daylight when we get into that peak of the rut, that Halloween into the second week in November, that whole time frame. So I get very excited when I get those nighttime photos of him in that October lull, kind of that mid-season time frame, because I know it's just a matter of time. He's going to daylight any day here now. And so that's the strategy I'm using on these spots. So bringing this back to why you guys clicked on this video, were you hunting the right spots this fall? You should have some confirmation at your spots with your stands, whether it's over a mock scrape, a good rut funnel trail, whatever it is. You should have confirmed at some point that a mature buck or a good buck, whatever that is in your area, felt comfortable going through there in daylight. Okay, the second indicator, the second tell would be your mock scrape or a natural primary scrape. One of those two things. Was it ripped open? Was it used heavily? A lot of you out there are using and relying on trail cameras for the majority of your data and intel. Some of you might not rely as much on trail cameras, and I commend you if that's the case with you. But if you had a mock scrape, like I've talked about in my other videos, that's getting used by multiple bucks and multiple does throughout a season, then that was a success, a major success. You should keep focusing on that area. You should keep doubling down on that area and trying to learn it even better and continue to hunt it, because that is one of the greatest tells and one of the best ways to know that if you were in the right spot, if you were in that doe zone. And that would be the second indicator telling you that you did the right things. You did everything you could. And especially if you have both of those things, that active primary scrape and a daylight photo or two of the good bucks in your areas that came through your spot, then you were hunting the right spots. That's how you would know. That's the point of this video. If you were not getting those things, if you didn't get either one of those things in the areas that you were deer hunting this past fall, then you have some serious work ahead of you. You need to get out this winter, this spring, this off season, and really pound out some boot leather miles on public land. If it's your own private land, you need to really think about how you're accessing your property, how you're hunting it. Did you abuse your private property? Meaning you went in and you pushed it even when you knew you maybe shouldn't have on the wrong winds. Deer were smelling you in your food plots. Does and fawns were, young bucks. You were forcing things during the lull, the mid-season. And if that's how you want to hunt, go for it. I'm not telling anybody how to hunt out there. Whatever makes you happy, I'm totally cool with. I'm just making this video for folks that want to try to take the next step and go to the next level and kill a nice buck for their area. And none of us are any better than the other when it comes to hunting. So don't take this like I'm trying to put down anyone who hunts a certain way. I'm not. Again, whatever makes you happy makes me happy. So these are just the tactics and the reflections that I do for my own hunting purposes, because I do want to shoot good bucks in my area. It's something I love and enjoy, and I'm going to keep doing that. So think on those two items, those two tells. What could you see from that? What could you gather from that? If you did not have them, like I said, you need to really start focusing now. It's actually January 1st when I'm filming this, so it's the first of the year, so Happy New Year. But you have a lot of work ahead of you. And if you had spots that you hunted this past fall where you were getting those mature bucks in daylight, and you had a primary scrape that was really used heavily and undisturbed throughout the fall, you're doing the right thing. You're on the right track. Keep at that and continue to develop those spots, whether that be private or public land. Double down on those and keep searching for more spots like those. As always, you guys, if you found any value in this video, do me one solid, hit that subscribe button. It really helps out small channels like mine. I appreciate that. A new year is upon us. I'm really excited. Reach out if you've got any questions for me. I will put my email down below if you're interested in working with me one-on-one. But in the meantime, take care, and I will catch you guys on the next video.